Okay, welcome back to the weekly Worm Farm Check-In. My name is Steve Churchill and I'm the owner of the Urban Worm Company. Okay, so this is going to be a really interesting one. Last week we gave the bin a good feeding of food waste that we pureed in my wife's food processor. It reduced the volume, released a ton of water, and exposed a crap load of surface area in that food waste for microbes to accelerate the breakdown of the food particles. We mixed it with a layer of Pitt Moss and crossed our fingers that the food waste was going to attract lots of worms to the surface. And speaking of lots of worms, remember that I told you that I thought we were about to reach the, what I call the where did all these worms come from stage in this bin, which we started back in August with a really kind of meager worm population. Well, I took a sneak peek at the bin earlier this week and I think we're finally there, and we'll see it here in just a couple minutes. Now, not only are the worms still producing cocoons, but the babies that hatched a few weeks ago are growing out, and now we're to the point where I can say with confidence that we've got a healthy worm population in this bin. But I also don't think we're even close to the worm density that we're going to eventually get. A really common question is whether you need to split bins in order to prevent the worms from overpopulating a bin. Now you can split a worm farm, turn it into two, and so forth, but you wouldn't be doing that in order to prevent overpopulation. Worms are not going to overpopulate themselves. They're really good self-regulators, and they're going to stop reproducing if they sense that conditions in the bin aren't right to be increasing their own population. So before we open up the bin, if you like these weekly check-ins and want me to make more of them, please like this video, hit subscribe, click that little bell to let you know every time we release a new video. And if you want the guidebook on how to start and manage your own budget worm farm like this one, please click the little arrow above my left shoulder or go to the video description for a link to sign up to get the worm farm roadmap. Really handy, easy to read PDF that gets you on the right foot with vermicomposting. I think you're going to enjoy that. All right, let's open up the worm farm, check on these guys, and see what we're going to do this week. All right, here we have it. Let's take a look real fast. And there we go. Plenty of worms on the surface here. Scrape underneath. I'm seeing a lot more. I mean, this is a lot more than what we had last week. Really liking what I'm seeing here. Still see some food waste, but if I stick my hands down in here, I'm just getting all sorts of good. I actually see a little bit of orange peels that the worms are finally starting to go after now. Yeah, this is looking nice. I'm really excited with how this is turning out. I'll just grab another couple handfuls, and I spotted a couple cocoons in there. Really liking what I'm seeing. One thing that we did get with kind of an aggressive feeding like this was we had so much food waste breaking down at one time that we did get fruit flies, and you can probably see a couple of them. Flying around here. So these broccoli stalks, looks like these guys are going to be with us here for a few weeks at least. Taking them a while to break down, but man, look at some of these chubby worms. I really wasn't loving the size of the worms, but these guys are doing pretty good. These are red wigglers, are going to be on the smaller end, but yeah, I'm pretty pumped with how this is going. So we're getting into the sweet spot. We'll be getting some pumpkin here coming up here, and just actually it's past Halloween now, so any day now I'll probably go start collecting some pumpkins from some neighbors, composting and vermicomposting those guys. So one thing we will look at, again, I hate doing this now that we've got a bunch of worms in here, but we will do a moisture check. And yep, see the water that came out. So we're probably a little bit on the wet end here, but that's okay. This bin's doing fine. We will go ahead and check the temperatures here. It's kind of middle of the day right now, so it's 64 degrees in the barn, and we're looking at about maybe 68. It's tough to see with the light, but maybe about 68 degrees. Earlier today it came out and it was like 57, or actually it was a couple days ago, it was 57 and then like 68. So the vermicompost was considerably wetter. So yeah, I'm loving what I'm seeing. I think this week I don't really want to be adding much more food waste. We'll just go and let last week's feeding kind of fester there a little bit. But I'm really excited about what I'm seeing out of this worm population. Things are looking really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the stand. We're just gonna give it a quick feeding of just a little bit of grit, some of that play yard sand, along with some worm chow, and we'll call it a day. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. I think things are going really well for us right now. The population is really ramping up, which means our feedings can start ramping up too. Now, one sort of cool thing, and depending on what you want in your worm bin, that happens when you do an aggressive feeding is that they can produce heat. If there's a lot of that microbial activity, those are just kind of going to be a whole lot of heat generators. And when I opened the bin earlier this week, I compared the temperatures inside the barn with the temperatures inside the vermicompost. And sure enough, it was 57 degrees in the barn and about 65 degrees in the vermicompost. But winter is coming, and those really low temperatures will lower microbe and worm activity. So we'll be putting a seed starting mat underneath this bin. You can see one right here. It's going to give us some really low-grade heat that's going to radiate throughout the bin. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We're going to see you next week.